Hello, welcome to Weekly Update. I'm Bill Galvano. You know, we are very lucky here in the state of Florida, and especially in this region, to have Mote Marine Laboratory right here. Mote Marine does so many wonderful things and contributes so much to the world of science, the world of preservation, the world of innovation, whether it's their laboratory, aquaculture, the aquarium that brings many thousands of visitors to our state on an annual basis. It just goes on and on. Today, we are very lucky to have a special guest, the Vice President of the Education Division at Mote Marine Laboratory, Mr. Jim Wharton. Jim, welcome.
Thank you.
Jim, why don't we start by telling the viewers a little bit about yourself and how you came to be at Mote Marine Laboratory.
Sure. I've been at Mote for 5 years now, but my connection to Mote is much older than that. When I was 7, I read a biography of Eugenie Clark, who was the founder of Mote Marine Laboratory. Yes. And that flipped a switch in my head, and I became completely shark obsessed. That led to being completely ocean obsessed, which led to a career in marine biology. So I've always sort of had a distant desire to be at Mote Marine Laboratory, and it took a little while to get there, but here I am.
Did you share that story? I'm sure you have with Jeannie Clark.
Yes, Jeannie has heard it many times and is probably tired of hearing it by now. But I have the original copy of the book that I read, and had her sign it over to my daughter, so I could give it to her someday.
Well, that is a book, and of course her research is studied around the world, and she has influenced many, many people, and it's great to see that at least one of whom she's influenced has came back from being a 7-year-old who read a book to being at Mote Marine Lab. So you're the head or vice president of the Education Division. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the Education Division at Mote Marine? Sure.
Mote Marine's Education Division includes our school and public programs, which are all of the school groups that come to visit us and the families that come and do programs with us. It includes our education staff that does distance learning. So our distance learning staff reaches out to schools all over the country and all over the world. It's a technological outreach program.
Yeah, and explain distance learning.
Sure.
for those who may not know what it is.
Yeah, it's video conferencing in the same way you do a video conference meeting. We connect with schools, so it's television that can see, hear, and talk to you. Kids love it. We see about 15 to 17,000 schools a year, all over the state of Florida, all over the country, and we've even done, we did Ireland in February, so we've got a great reach. We can do anywhere in the world. We can do China, we could do Australia, but then someone's got to be up at midnight.
So you're talking about what's going on at Mote Marine Lab being studied or transmitted across the world, basically.
That's right. All of our programs, whether it's through the distance learning program or it's on our on-site programs, they're all based on Mote science. So we use the findings of Mote Marine Laboratory to try to increase ocean and science literacy and to help people make better choices about the environment.
And how many students are served by the Mote education program?
Overall, it's about 30,000 a year. So about half of those are in the distance learning program, half of those are on-site. And then you have to add all of the folks who come through the aquarium. That's about another 350,000 a year. So Mote has quite a reach, and we've got a lot of, the advantage that we have is that we create new knowledge at the lab. And you can't get that anywhere else. It's years away from textbooks, so we have a real asset and something to share.
And so that's something a classroom teacher would not be able to readily put his or her hands on or share with students. This is, like you said, ahead of time or real-time knowledge that's being produced at Mote Marine Laboratory.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. I mean, we're redefining the way we understand how corals work, how the ocean works. All of that information will eventually become common knowledge. It starts here at the lab, it starts in our education programs, and then it filters out to the rest of the world, but it takes time.
Well, obviously you have a very strong partnership with the Sarasota-Manatee County school system. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, we draw schools from all over Sarasota County, all over Manatee County. They come out to do any kind of programming they like. Really, we have certain programs that they'll come and do on a regular basis, or we work in partnership with some schools. For example, Canaan Elementary, that's here in Manatee County, they'll bring their entire school out to Mote, not all at once, but they'll come out a grade at a time, so kindergarten all the way up through 6th grade. And what we're hoping is to maintain that relationship so that when a student starts as a kindergartner at Canaan, by the time they've gotten up to 6th grade, they've had quite a length and breadth of experience that Mote Marine has to offer.
Like the 7-year-old boy that you were that was influenced.
Yeah, that's one of the things we always try to keep in mind, even though our instructors may be giving their 1,000th squid dissection, but every kid in that room might be having that seminal experience like I had. So the visit to Mote might be the thing that creates a marine biologist, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just connects them better to the ocean so that when they're adults, they care a little bit more when ocean issues come to play.
Now, Mote Education Division also entails higher education.
We do a little higher education. Yeah, we have a lot of college interns, so we educate around 120 to 140 college interns every year. So they'll spend 10 to 14 weeks at the lab, and they'll really get into a research project. So they're not just doing grunt work, but they're actually participating in Mote research and contributing to the field.
And so these are students from all over the country.
All over the country and all over the world.
All over the world, mm-hmm. and they make application to come to our area, mm-hmm. to be at Mote Marine Laboratory to engage in these research projects.
It's an incredibly competitive program. Like for example, just for our summer program, we have about 50 slots for college interns, and we'll get 300 to 400 applications. We also have a research experience for undergraduates. That's a program that's funded through the National Science Foundation. There are 11 to 12 slots for that, and we'll get over 400 applications for that. So there is a strong desire to work at Mote Marine Laboratory among these students. It's a very well-respected facility in marine science and the science community in general, and but it takes a lot to get here.
And so I'm assuming it's a great resume boost.
Absolutely, yeah. You get here and you get some real, authentic science research experience, and you make connections that are going to help you down the line.
And so I would assume that many renowned marine biologists and other scientists throughout the country and the world have interacted at some time or another with Mote Marine Laboratory. Yeah,
I jokingly refer to it as the Mote virus. Once people get hooked, they have a hard time dragging themselves away. So a great example is Sylvia Earles, one of the most prominent marine scientists in the world. She was a Mote director at one time. Actually, Jeannie Clark gave her first job in marine science. So Mote has quite a reach and has a lot of influence. A lot of scientists who come to work at Mote will also stay here for years. Kumar is a great example, has been at the lab for 30 years. Our volunteers who come to the lab have a hard time pulling themselves away. Just this spring, we gave out 30-year awards to 4 volunteers. So 4 volunteers who've been at Mote Marine Laboratory for 30 years. And that goes without talking about the ones that have been here 25 years and 10 years and 15 years. It's an incredible commitment, and I think what it does is it really shows the importance that Mote has always placed on its relationship with the community, because I don't think that you draw those kinds of volunteers without having a strong relationship in your community.
And I think that's one of the great attributes of Mote is the community partnership, and really the state and national partnership. And Kumar Mahadevan Dr. Kumar Mahadevan does a fantastic job at that. It's, you could tell he's so proud of the lab and what is being accomplished there, but he's eager to share it and make sure that what you all are doing is known to others and can be part of a partnership with communities, states, and nations.
Yeah, ocean science is something that once people get into it, they find it incredibly fascinating, but sometimes it takes a little bit of a push because it's not something they experience every single day. It takes a little bit of an effort to get out in the ocean. It takes a little bit more effort to learn to dive and get under the waves. So ocean science isn't necessarily always intuitive or people's first option, but once they finally get exposed to it, it's hard to shake it loose.
Now, we've talked a little bit about the long-distance learning. What other programs would you like to highlight for us?
I'd love to talk about summer camp program.
Absolutely.
We have a very active summer camp program. We see between 600 and 700 kids every year. a lot of those kids, again, that Mote virus aspect, come back year and year and year again. So we have programming that starts at age 2 and goes all the way up to age 18.
Age 2?
Age 2. We have a Mommy and Me summer camp program for 2 to 5-year-olds and their favorite caregiver. Doesn't have to be mommy.
Make sure those 2-year-olds are far away from the Shark Tank, right?
They don't go into the Shark Tank, no, but it's incredible what a 2-year-old is capable of, and we also have a Mommy and Me program that runs throughout the year for 2 to 5-year-olds, and it's not clapping and learning their colors. They're actually getting a chance to learn a little Mote science, and my favorite example is it was a project that Jeannie Clark did recently where she went to Indonesia and she was looking for a certain kind of fish. And to look for that fish, they put grids down on the ocean floor, and they put their divers face down in the grids, and they counted the fish. Well, we did that with our 2-year-olds. We put a grid down in our classroom, put little plastic fish in the grids, and then we had the kids go face down. They counted up the fish and reported it to their moms, who recorded the data down on a piece of paper. The kids are learning to ask questions, and I think that's the first step at being more science literate and becoming a little closer to being a scientist.
Well, that's fantastic, because so often you hear of summer camps that are really just daycares, glorified daycares.
Right. Yeah, for ours, we always try to, and it's always our inclination to put them in the environment whenever possible. We have a great classroom, an incredible facility, incredible aquarium, but our first inclination is always to put them in the environment and let them learn firsthand, because you can't replicate that really in a classroom or on a television. So put a net in their hand, put them in the water, and see what they find. And you inspire that element of discovery, and that really leads to even more excitement.
And so for the older kids, that's what they're doing. They're actually going out into the water, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. I mean, we put a net in a 2-year-old's hand, but we'll also put a bigger net in a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old's hand. We'll use seine nets to go through our seagrass beds. Mote's at a great location, so we have some really nice natural areas where the kids can go out. It's a very safe environment. They can snorkel, they can use the nets, they can really see the environment firsthand. We'll also take them out on kayaks and really get them out into Sarasota Bay and let them get to know it a little better, because a lot of people spend their time around the bay or they spend their time on the bay in boats, but it takes a little extra effort to get them in the bay and beneath the waves and really checking out that environment.
Now, Mote Marina is also located in the Keys. Mm-hmm. And your division, the education division, has some activities there as well. That's right. For the older summer camp kids, so middle school age and for high school age, we run some science camps down in the Keys. So middle school kids go down and it's a snorkel-based camp, but they'll also have a chance to go out to the dry Tortugas during that trip. It's a week-long trip. For high school kids, they're also going to get a chance to dive. So they dive on 5 different sites. Again, really want to get them in the water. We've got the only coral reefs on the North American continent. We need to put the kids down in there and let them see it before they're gone. Well, with 700 kids going through each summer, obviously the word's out and people know how to get involved or join the camp. But for those who may not, what would you tell a parent or a kid for that matter who's watching us and decides that sounds like something they would like to do? Yeah, I'd encourage them to go to the website, so mote.org, and look up summer camp. And our registration process is all online, and all the details about each camp are also online. And they can always give us a call if they have questions or concerns. I know a lot of parents, sometimes they're nervous about their kids getting in the water. They're nervous about what that entails, what sort of risks there might be. But all of our instructors are CPR and first aid certified. They're all lifeguard certified. Safety is our top priority. Safety, then fun, then learning. Great. Now, summer's almost here, and there's a special day in June, World Oceans Day. You want to talk a little bit about that? Absolutely. We just got done with Earth Day, and since the Earth is mostly ocean, I don't know if it's fair to focus on the land the way that we do, but we have a special day all for the ocean. It's an international event. So World Ocean Day always happens in the first week in June, and at Mote we're going to celebrate it on June 5th. So it's included with the price of admission. It's going to be a complete family festival, lots of opportunities to have fun and learn a little bit more about the ocean. Well, great, great. And it's going to be at the aquarium? Yes, at Mote Aquarium. Now, there's a new addition to the aquarium, relatively new, the prehistoric shark jaws. That's right. Megalodon, yeah. I should say. Yeah, we do have the new Megalodon jaw. The Megalodon, for people who aren't familiar with it, is it's a little bit like a great white if a great white was the size of a school bus. So it's a prehistoric, extinct
shark, and we have a replica jaw there that you and I could both stand up in with plenty of room to spare. Yeah. And I've got a great mural right next to it so you can get an idea what that shark looked like when it was around.
Well, super. Well, tell me a little bit about behind the science weekends.
Yeah, one of the things we always get from parents when they come to pick up their kids is that they never get to do the fun stuff that their kids get to do. Well, the Behind the Science program is their opportunity. These are family programs that are offered on the weekends. They're experiential and they're water-based. So
for adults?
Yeah, for adults and their kids. So as long as they've got kids 6 and up, they can bring the kids, the whole family, come out and do a kayaking program, or sometimes we'll do what's called an Exploring the Bay program, where again we'll use the nets, we'll get out in the water, and we'll pull and see what we can find. And what we can find sometimes, it's crabs, it's snails, it could be baby seahorses. When they start to realize what's in the water, then it really helps them understand how they impact the environment, how their activities have an influence on Sarasota Bay and the ocean.
And are there certain projects that you can opt for in terms of the Behind the Science weekends? Do you have like a schedule of what you're doing when? So
absolutely, yeah. They can find that on the website again. So mote.org/education will get you to all of our education programs. And that Behind the Science program alternates between kayaks and the Exploring the Bay. So every weekend during the warm weather months.
Now you also have an intern program for high school students.
That's right. We have a competitive high school internship program that runs during the school year, and they come out a couple times a month to Mote. And in the first year of that program, they learn all about Mote research and what's going on at the lab. And then if they're still interested after that, they can come back and become part of the alumni program. It's a little misleading a title, but essentially as long as they're in high school, they can maintain their membership in this program. And once they move into the alumni program, then they're really getting into an authentic science experience. It's not playing at being a science anymore. They're actually creating, designing their own. In the alumni program? Yes, in the alumni program. So they create and design their own research projects. They participate in actual Mote ongoing projects, so they're contributing data to those projects. And if they're interested in being a marine scientist, they're going to figure out whether it's for them by the end of that program, one way or the other.
And so this is something that they'll learn about through their high schools? Some
of the high schools will be able to give them information. Again, they can always get information at the website. There is a deadline coming up, though. So May 20th is the deadline to get their applications in.
For next year?
Yes, for next year, right, for next school year. Like I said, it's a competitive program, so we get anywhere from 40 to 60 applications for 16 slots. So what we ask is they fill out a couple of essays to let us know why marine science is important to them. We ask them to look at things like their grade point and get a couple of recommendations. So something that we can take a look at and find out who's a really good fit for the program.
And so they come in as an intern and acclimate themselves with the research lab.
Absolutely.
And then once they have completed that initial program as an alumni, they will come back and participate in specific projects. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's the gist of it. I mean, it depends on how long, when you enter the program. So if you're a freshman and you become part of the program, you could be in the program for 4 years. If you come in as a junior, you might only spend 2 years in the program. But the longer you spend at Mote, the more opportunities become available. And it really, that particular program, it's really centered on personal responsibility, and it really rewards students who are ambitious and go-getters. So the more they put into the program, the more they get out of it.
And then they can carry that same commitment into their higher education, their college level education.
Yeah, we've had really good luck with our students. The last 4 years, we've put kids in Ivy League schools every year. The experience at the Mote internship, I think, is incredibly beneficial. I think the connections that they make at Mote are great for finding jobs and graduate programs down the line.
Well, super. Now, what about volunteers?
We always need volunteers. We have an incredible volunteer crew. We have 1,300 volunteers that dedicate almost 200,000 hours of time every year. And that sounds like we have all the volunteers we could ever possibly need, but it's never the case. So there's always more to be done at Mote. A lot of our volunteers are seasonal, so we lose them in the summertime. So if we have folks who are local who'd like to get involved with the lab, then I'd encourage them to come to the website and look up volunteerism and see what kind of opportunities are available. Just about anything you'd like to do at the lab, you can do as a volunteer. So there are opportunities on the research side. There's opportunities as guides in the aquarium. There's opportunities to work with kids in summer camp and schools. If you want to stuff envelopes, there's opportunities to do that. Work in the gift shop, greet folks.
I'll take those. No. So, and these are different than the programs. If you're a volunteer at Mote, you're talking about a different type of role than the internships that we've just discussed and the camp situations we just discussed.
Yeah, that's correct. But it's also quite an educational experience. When you're a volunteer, you're going to go through a 12-week training program, and you're going to learn all about the science that goes on at Mote Marine Laboratory. So if you're just looking for something that's personally enriching, you're going to find out a lot about marine science, and you're going to get some of that, again, that new knowledge that starts at Mote Marine Laboratory. It's also great social benefits. There's 1,300 people there, so people really enjoy being at Mote with like-minded folks who enjoy learning a little bit more, and it's a great experience.
I didn't realize it was a 12-week training program, but I guess it needs to be, given the complexity of what you're doing there.
It's a fair-sized aquarium, so there's plenty to learn just on the aquarium by itself, but there's also 7 centers of research that are producing 100 different peer-reviewed publications a year. So there's a lot of science that's going on. You never expect a volunteer to be able to answer everything about every aspect, but it's good for them to be knowledgeable about the kinds of things that Mote's accomplished in the past, the areas that we contribute to, and I think that they get all of that and more in that program.
Why don't you highlight the research areas, the 7 areas of focus?
Sure. There's 7 centers of research at Mote. One of them is the shark research, which of course was the first research. We also have marine mammal and sea turtles. We have ecotoxicology, which is the study of, I guess, chemicals in the environment. This is where the red tide research is done. We have the Center for Coastal Ecology, which is just like it sounds, studying the ecology of the coastline. We have the Center for Tropical Research, which studies coral reef ecology. We also have the Center for Aquaculture and the Center for Fisheries Enhancement.
Now, the aquaculture park is located in the eastern part of Sarasota County.
It's just on the other side of 75. It's a fantastic facility. One of the things that we do there is we're operating a commercial sturgeon farm. So instead of experimenting in a lab and figuring out how to raise sturgeon and then saying if you times this by 1,000 you could make money, we're offering this as an opportunity for someone to see what it would operate on a commercial scale. And sturgeon's an important fish because people eat caviar whether you like it or not. And the beluga sturgeon, the Sevruga sturgeon that are in Russia and other areas in that part of the world, they're being brutally harvested, and anything we can do to take the pressure off of those groups, it's important.
Well, and it's a fantastic facility and is really state of the art. And aquaculture, I think, is the future in many respects for seafood production and in marine life production that may not even go to seafood.
And at that particular park, one of the most important things they're doing is they're coming up with recirculating water systems that allow them to use that water over and over and over again. We can use the water in that facility for 7 to 10 days. Some of their aquaculture facilities use their water for 3 to 5 minutes. So we're getting an incredible benefit in water conservation. And then once that water is returned to the environment, it's being run out over a settling field where it's also being used to grow wetland plants that can be used in wetland restoration projects. So it's really trying to create a self-contained system that's not polluting for the environment and is still productive from a fish standpoint.
Okay, so we've talked about sharks, toxicology, the aquaculture. What else?
There's also the coral reef research that we do down in the Keys. One of the projects they're working on there is to restore the diadema populations. A diadema is a black spiny urchin that's incredibly important to the health of the reef. They feed on algae, and they disappeared from the Caribbean reefs maybe 20 years ago. And when they went, that algae control went with it. So the algae grows up and occasionally will grow over the coral and choke the reef. So it's really important to reestablish that population of urchins so that they can help provide that sort of natural control of that ecosystem. You don't want to use herbicides on a coral reef.
Right. Well, as I understand it, and you would know, 90% of our sea life is centered around reefs.
Coral reefs are incredibly important to the ocean ecology. Sometimes people compare them to rainforests, but I think that's selling them short. They're incredibly diverse. They're incredibly integral to the world fishery populations and the diversity of the Caribbean in general.
Well, I know when I was in the Florida House, I worked very closely with Kumar and Senator Dieter to make sure we had the Protect Our Reef tag, which actually bears the Mote logo.
That's right, and it also has a grant program that provides grants for coral reef research and coral reef restoration and education efforts. So it gives out $200,000 to $300,000 every year in those efforts, as well as supporting the coral reef research that goes on at Mote.
Well, I want to talk about the penguins, because I know we're getting a little short on time, but tell me about the penguins. Tell the viewers about what's going on with the penguins.
That's right. The penguins are coming to the aquarium. So we'll have a temporary exhibit in our aquarium starting in November, and it'll run through February or March. These are black-footed South African penguins, and they'll be in a temporary exhibit in our courtyard. So it's people love penguins, and so I think they're going to really enjoy that exhibit. It's a great opportunity for us to talk about topics like climate change and world fisheries, because both of those subjects have significant impacts on penguins and penguin populations. So it's a good opportunity for us to do something a little bit different. It is related to Mote research, but it's also something fresh and something that people enjoy and haven't seen before at Mote.
And what about the temperature of the exhibit?
These are temperate penguins, so they aren't living on ice floes. They're living in South Africa, which is not quite so cold as the Antarctic.
Let me ask you also about the A's for Science. That starts in June.
Absolutely. So in June and July, if your children have gotten A's on their science report cards, they can bring the report card to Mote, and they'll get into Mote for free.
Good. Yeah. Good. Just like the mothers are going to get into Mote for free in just about a week.
That's right. Moms are free on Mother's Day, dads are free on Father's Day, and then teachers can come to the aquarium free anytime they like. We really like to have them come to the aquarium, take a look at it, and think about how they can use it in their classroom.
And do you have a lot of teachers that visit?
Not as many as we'd like. We'd always like to have more.
So we need more. This is Manatee Education Television, so hopefully we have a lot of teachers watching who will come out and visit you all at Mote Marine Laboratory. Yeah,
come out to the aquarium and take a look at it, and give us a call at the aquarium, or excuse me, give us a call at the lab, or contact us at educate@mote.org and see what kind of programs we can do together.
What programs do you have in the queue that maybe aren't up and running at this point, but something that we could look forward to in the future?
Well, we've got a great program for schools that we're trying to get off the ground that uses smartphones to help students collect data. So instead of recording things on clipboards and then sending it to the recycling bin, that data would go into a database, and then teachers and students would be able to access it back in their classroom and compare the data that they collected one year to data they collected in previous years, compare that data to data collected by other classrooms, to other schools, really start to do, again, authentic science projects. We're pilot testing that this spring. Should be something that schools can take advantage of next school year.
Well, that sounds exciting.
It will be.
It really, really does. Well, Jim, we're just about out of time. If there's anything else you'd like to share with the viewers, I'll give you that opportunity.
Well, we're just, Mote Marine Laboratory, the educational efforts they're really important to the lab. We recognize that you can't do science all by yourself in your lab. If you're not sharing it with the world, it's not really accomplishing what it needs to. So it's great information, and we love to share it. We all love to talk about the ocean. All the staff is incredibly passionate and really enjoy working with kids and with people, and just love to see even more people up at the lab.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for what you do, and we are all very proud of Mote Marine Laboratory. Thank you for joining us on Weekly Update, and go out and visit Mote Marine.